back. As Kenya becomes an increasingly digital society, the demand for smartphones has soared in recent times. Yet in a country where more than 20 million people live below the national poverty line, according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, owning a smartphone has long been out of reach for many. But that changed with the arrival of Lipa Mdogo, a buy now, pay later plan that allows Kenyans to own a smartphone after paying a small deposit, then settling the balance in daily or weekly installments. But are these arrangements a relief for exploitation of vulnerable Kenyans? NTV's David Muthoka examines the growing controversy surrounding Lipa Mdogo business models.
October 2025. Kenya's capital, Nairobi, is buzzing with activity. Residents and visitors go about their business, most of them on their phones, scrolling, chatting, or calling someone. The demand for phones, and particularly smartphones, has risen sharply in recent years. But amid the rise in demand lies one major hurdle: affordability. Most decent smartphones range between 13,000 and 30,000 shillings in a country where over 20 million people still live below the national poverty line. To bridge that gap, phone and credit companies have embraced the buy now, pay later model known on the streets as Lipa Mdogo or Lipa Pole. Hailed at first as a breakthrough for inclusivity, the model has now turned into a nightmare for many. Oscar Nkule first heard about the plan from a friend in February. Shortly after, he walked into a shop in Kitui offering Lipa Mdogo. After paying a deposit of 3,000 shillings, he walked out with a Techno Pop 9, a phone valued at 12,000 shillings in the market, and agreed to pay the balance in daily installments.
Waliniambia pesa yote inapaswa kuwa shilingi 27,000. Na kwa sababu sikuwa nimefanya research yangu nikajua hii simu hapo awali Techno ilikuwa pesa ngapi, nikawaambia ni sawa. Lakini cha kustajabisha ni kwamba walisema kama hiyo mwaka itaisha kama hujalipa, inamaanisha wanakujia simu ile na hawatakurudishia zile pesa ambazo ulikuwa umefanya kulipa awali.
Since February, the university student at the Technical University of Kenya says life has been nothing short of a nightmare. Despite relying on the phone to study, it has been switched off remotely on multiple occasions for delays in payments, sometimes even when he has already paid.
Wamefunga kila mahali. Muda mwingi mtu akipiga anadhani kuwa staki nimeweza kuweka kwa lugha ya kawaida wanasema blacklist kwa sababu inasema line busy.
For Bernard Luther, who also bought a Lipa Pole phone, the sudden locks nearly turned fatal one day.
Nilikuwa natoka tao nikirudi kwenye mtaa, wakati wa kulipa tu nauli nikipitia kwenye simu nikapata tayari simu yenyewe ishazimwa. So hiyo siku nilihangaika sasa zaidi, kama singepata rafiki kwenye hiyo gari najua hiyo siku ningerushwa nje sana. Hiyo simu imekuwa na matatizo mengi sana.
Luther had purchased a Samsung A03 valued at 15,000 shillings after depositing 4,000 shillings and committed to pay 55 shillings daily for 18 months. He eventually paid 34,000 shillings, more than double the market price for a phone he says was not worth the cost.
Iko na matatizo mengi sana. Ukijaribu kuwapigia simu waambia kwamba hii simu yangu iko na shida, wanakuambia kuja kwa ofisi na kitambulisho na upewe simu nyingine la ulipe, uanze tena kulipa vipi. So imekuwa ni nyingine ghali sana kwa wananchi wa kawaida.
For Hussein Kengi Juma, also from Kawangware, the last 12 months of Lipa Mdogo payments have been nothing short of torture. Just like Oscar and Luther, he endured abrupt locks that left him quote-unquote mteja for long stretches.
Yani ndio simu yenyewe unayo lakini huwezi ukaitumia kabisa. Mdai kupigia simu ndio tunamta amepiga hapa lakini huwezi kupokea, yani huwezi kuguza kitu chochote kile.
Looking back, Hussein is baffled. that he ended up paying for his HMD X2 valued at 17,000 shillings, nearly 3 times more than the actual market price. Having deposited 4,200 shillings, he religiously paid 113 shillings each day for 365 days before finally owning the phone.
Kiukweli simu hii niweza kuilipia takriban shilingi 41,231. Jambo ambalo ukilipia pale dukani simu hiyo utaweza kuchukua takriban shilingi 17,000 au 18,000.
The situation is even worse for Purity Asel, who runs a small eatery in Gatina. She has been paying for a phone she no longer owns after it was stolen for more than 15 months now, with no end in sight.
Unaletewa notification sana, ogopa maybe kuitishwa loan such.
All 4 individuals are either paying or have paid 2 or 3 times the market price, raising serious concerns about buyer exploitation by phone and credit companies.
In many countries, usury is a criminal offense. If you go to the United States, you'll find each state has its own usury laws. For example, in Pennsylvania, you can't charge more than 25%.
If the practice is not only unethical but potentially illegal under global business laws, why then is the Lipa Mdogo culture spreading so fast, especially among vulnerable Kenyans?
Unfortunately, in Kenya, our parliament has never really come up with laws that bar usury, and that's why you find the lending scene, whether it's mobile lending or microfinance lending or some of this product financing or even with some of the Uber financing. Actually, if you do the calculation, many of them are paying almost 100%.
Legal experts are also questioning the privacy and data protection implications of these models and whether it's lawful for companies to remotely lock or deactivate phones for minor payment delays.
There is that security element where you can be in an emergency and you cannot communicate with people simply because you didn't pay yesterday's 80 shillings. So there has to be an ethical, even where there is a lack of legislation, there has to be ethical considerations on what are the impacts of disconnecting people from critical services.
The dream of owning a decent smartphone such as this one is fast becoming a nightmare for thousands and thousands of Kenyans who are now slaves in a vicious financial trap. The Lipa Mdogo culture, however, continues to take root in the country amid concerns relating to data protection and financial exploitation. David Muthoka, NTV, Nairobi.